Hey guys, my name is Atif and welcome to 30th part of Real Estate App Development series. In this part, we will handle the click of the seller info card, which is in property details. On clicking this, we will open a new activity that will contain two things. First thing is information of the seller. Second thing is properties published by that seller. So let's start by opening the project in Android Studio. Open the activity profile details.xml card. There is a card with the ID seller profile CV. Now we will create an activity. Right click on activities package, click new, click activity, select empty views activity. Type the name of the activity that will be seller profile activity and click finish. So far we have created the activity. Now we need to start it. For that, open the property details activity class and come at the end of the onCreate function. There we will add click listener on seller profile card view, biting dot seller profile CV dot set on click listener, new view dot on click listener. We will start the seller profile activity. Create an instance of the intent equal to new intent. This will require two parameters. First parameter is the context. Second parameter is the activity we want to start. That is seller profile activity. We also need to pass the ID of the seller using intent dot put extra. First parameter is the key name, that will be seller UID. Second parameter will be the actual seller UID, which we have defined in class level and initialized it in dot property details function. This is the UID of the seller of the property. Now come again in the click listener and we will start the activity using start activity. Pass the intent as parameter. Okay, now open the seller profile activities layout file, that is activity seller profile.xml file. Replace the constraint layout with relative layout. Inside that relative layout, we will create another relative layout to create a custom toolbar. Relative layout width will be match parent and height will be question mark attribute action bar size. This will set the height of this relative layout same as the height of action bar. ID of this toolbar will be toolbar relative layout. Now we will set the background of this relative layout using the property background, which is available in the driver folder with name toolbar bg01. Inside that relative layout, we are going to create a back button, image button with width and height wrap content. ID of that button will be toolbar back button. Next step is to set the icon in this image button using the property source. Icon is available in tribal folder with name back white. We will set the background as transparent using the value add Android transparent. And padding of this button will be 10 dp. We need to place that image button in center vertical using the property layout center vertical with value true. After that image button, we will create our text view that will show our title for the toolbar. But before doing that, we need to set the color of the icon using the property tint. Color will be white. Now we will create our text view with width and height wrap content. After setting the width and height, we will set the ID of this text view that will be toolbar title text view. And we will set the style for this text view that will be label large, which is part of material 3 theme. After setting the style, we need to set the text for this text view that will be seller profile. Use the property text color to set the color of this text view that will be white, which is available in colors.xml file. Before proceeding further, fix the issue that we have used the wrong property to set the style for the text view. The property is available with the name style and the style will be label large. Now we need to place that text view in center of this relative layout using the property layout center in parent with value of true. That's it for the toolbar. Now we will create a cart view to show the basic information of the seller. Material cart view. Width will be match parent, height will be that content. We need to place that cart view below the toolbar relative layout. To set the default margin, we will use the property card use compact padding with value 2. Content padding will be 10 dp and the ID of this card view will be profile CV, which is short of card view. And now inside this card view, we will create a relative layout. Relative layout width will be match parent and the height of this relative layout will be wrap content. Inside this relative layout, we will create a shapeable image view to show the profile image of the seller. Shapeable image view. Width and height of this image view will be 40 dp. ID of this image view will be seller profile IV. IV is short for image view. After setting the ID, we will show a temporary image in this image view that will only show in layout preview. That's why we are using tools source instead of Android source. As a value, we will pass add tools sample avatars. Now let's format the shape of the image view to the circle. For that, we will use the property shape appearance overlay and apply the style that is available in styles.xml with name image style circle. Background color of this image view will be color gray 01, which is available in colors.xml file. Scale type of this image view will be center crop and margin from end will be 10 dp. That's it for the image view. Now we are going to create a text view to show the name of the seller. Text view. Width and height of this text view will be left and right. After setting the width and height, we need to set the ID of this text view. That will be seller name TV. TV is short for text view. Now next we will apply a style to this text view using the property style. Style will be body medium, which is part of material 3 theme. Now we will set the text to this text view using the property tools text instead of Android text. So this text will only show in layout preview. We need to place that text view at the end of the seller profile image view. So we will use the property layout to end of pass the ID seller profile image view. We also need to show the date when user has created the account. For that, we will create two text views, one for the label and one for the date. Text view with width and height wrap content. ID of this text view will be member since label TV. After setting the ID, we will set the style to this text view that will be label small, which is part of material 3 theme. Now we will show the text that will be member since. This is just a label and we need to place that text view at the end of the seller profile image view. Also below the seller name text view. Now we need to create another text view on which we will show the date when user has created the account. For that, we will just copy this text view, copy it and paste it right after it. After pasting it, change the ID of this text view to member since TV. And instead of static text, we need to show our temporary date that will only show in layout preview. For that, we will use the property tools text instead of Android text. We need to place that text view at the end of the member since label TV. That's it for this text view. Now we will change the style of the seller name that will be label large. And with that, the seller profile info card is now completed. Now we will show our divider below this card view. For that, we will use the material divider with width match parent and height wrap content. ID of this divider will be divider 1. Now we will set the margin vertical using the property layout margin vertical that will set equal margin from top and bottom, which will be 40p. and we need to place that divider below the profile CV. Okay, now next we need to show the number of properties added by the seller. For that, we will create two text views, one for the label, one to show the number of properties. Text view with width and height, wrap content, and the ID of this text view will be published, ads, count, label, TV. After setting the ID, we will define the style for this text view using the property style, and the style will be label large, which is also part of Material 3 theme. We need to place that text view below the divider bar. Okay, now we will set the text to this text view using the property text, and text will be published ads. That's it for this text view. Now we need to create another text view to show the date when user has created the account. For that, we will copy this text view and paste it right after it. After pasting it, make sure to change the ID of this text view. That will be published ads count TV. And instead of static text, we will show a temporary text that will only show in layout preview using the property tools text instead of Android text. Okay, now we will place that text view at the end of the published ads count label TV using the property layout to end of. That's it for this text view. Now we need to set the margin from start for the published ads count label TV. Margin from start will be 5 degrees. Okay, in the last we need to create a recycler view to show the properties added by seller. Recycler view width and height will be match parent. ID of this recycler view will be properties recycler view. In the short, we will write RV. After setting the ID, we need to place that recycler view below the published ads count label TV. Layout manager of this recycler will be linear layout manager. And in the last, we need to set the list item that will only show in layout preview. So that's optional. List item is the raw property .xml file which is available in the folder layout. And with that, the UI part is now completed. So now we will start implementing the logic. For that, open the seller profile activity. First of all, we need to bind the layout file with this activity class using the view binding private activity seller profile binding. Name it as binding. We will initialize it in the onCreate before set content view. Binding equal to activity seller profile binding dot inflate. This will require a parameter of type layout inflator. So we will pass get layout inflator. And now in the set content view, instead of r dot layout dot, we need to pass binding dot root. And that's it. Now we need to define our tag in class level that will be used to show logs in logcat. Private, static, final, type will be string, name will be tag equal to seller profile tag. Whenever we need to show logs in logcat, we will use that tag. Right after that, we will define another variable of type string that will hold the UID of the seller. Private, type will be string, name will be seller UID. Initialize it with the empty string. We will initialize it in the onCreate function by getting it from the intent. Seller UID equal to get intent dot get string extra. We will copy the key name from the property details activity class, copy it and paste it here. Now we will create a simple log.d to print that seller UID in the log tag. First parameter is the tag, second parameter is the message that we want to show, including the seller UID. This will print the seller UID in the log tag. Now the next step is to load the seller info. For that we will create a separate function and call in the onCreate function. Name of the function will be load seller details. So now we will create that function private Return type will be void. Name of the function will be load seller details, which we have called in onCreate function. Now we need to create an instance of the database reference. Database reference, name it as reference, equal to Firebase database dot get instance dot get reference. In the path, pass users. We need to pass the UID of the seller. Reference dot child pass the seller UID. And now we need to add value event listener dot add value event listener new value event listener. This will implement two methods on data change and on cancel. In the on data change, we will get the information of the seller, which is in the snapshot parameter of on data change. Let's start by getting the name of the seller. Define the variable string with name snapshot.child as a path, pass name dot get value. Similarly, we will get the profile image URL of the seller, pass the key profile image URL, change the name of the variable to profile image URL. We also need to get the timestamp of the seller, which is the timestamp when user has created the account. So change the path and variable name to timestamp. And the next step is to format this timestamp to a proper date format. For that, we will create another variable of type string. Name of the variable will be formatted date equal to myUtils format timestamp date, which is a function defined in myUtils class. This will require a parameter of type long timestamp, but now we have a timestamp in the form of string, so we will convert it to long using long dot parse long pass the timestamp. This will convert the timestamp to format long. We have got the seller info. Now we will set that to UI binding dot seller name TV dot set text. Pass the name as parameter. Binding dot member since TV dot set text. Pass the formatted date, which is the date when user has created the count. Right after that, we will set the seller profile image URL. For that, we will use the glide library. This process might cause exceptions, so we will enclose it in the try catch. In catch block, we will print the exception in logcat using log.key. First parameter is the tag, and as a third parameter, pass the exception. In the try block, we will set the profile image URL to the seller profile image view. Glide.with. This will require a parameter of type context. Call the function dot load and pass the profile image URL as parameter. This is the image that we want to set in seller profile image view. Right after that, we will call the function dot placeholder that will be used to show a placeholder image that will be shown while the image is being loaded. Since the background color of the image view is gray, so we need to show a white icon. Let's create it. Right click on tribal folder, click new, click vector asset, click the clip art icon, search for the icon with name person, choose an icon, click OK, rename the icon with name person white. Make sure to choose the color white, click next and finish. Now we can use that icon in the placeholder using r.driver.person white. In the last, we will call the function dot into in which we will pass the image in which we want to show the seller profile image. That is binding dot seller profile image tool. So far, we have shown the basic seller information. Now we need to show the seller properties. For that, we will create a separate function that will be used to load the properties added by seller. Let's create the function for that. Private return type will be void. Name of the function will be load seller properties. After creating the function, make sure to call this function in the on period after initializing the seller UID. Now come again in the load seller properties function and create an instance of the array list of model property. Array list type will be model property. Name it as property array list equal to new array list. After initializing the array list, we need to create the instance of the database reference. Database reference name it as reference equal to Firebase database dot get instance dot get reference. And in the dot get reference as a path, we will pass properties. Since we need to get only those properties which are added by this seller, so we will use order by query. Reference dot order by child. Path will be UID dot equal to pass the UID of the seller, that is seller UID. After that, we will add value event listener using dot add value event listener new value event listener. This will implement two methods on data change and on cancel. In on data change function, we will get the properties of the seller. Before starting adding data into the property array list, we need to clear it using property array list dot clear. Right after that, we will create a for loop for data snapshot. Name it as ts snapshot dot get children. Snapshot is the parameter of on data change function, which is of type data snapshot. Now we will create an instance of the model property from ds, which is of type data snapshot. This process might cause exception, so we are doing that in the try block. Model property, name it as model property equal to ds dot get value. Pass the model property class as parameter. Model property is a class that contains variables same as in Firebase real-time database. It should have an empty constructor and variable names and their data type should be same as in Firebase real-time database. Otherwise, this will cause exception. We have already created this class in one of previous videos. Now we will add that instance of the model property in the array list. Property array list dot add model property. Create the catch block exception. Name it as E. In the catch block, we will print the exception in logcat using log.e. First parameter is the tag, second parameter is the custom message, and third parameter is the exception that we want to show in logcat, that is E. After the for loop, we will create the instance of the adapter property class. Adapter property, name it as adapter property equal to new adapter property. This will require two parameters. First parameter is the context and as a second parameter, pass the property array list. We have already created the adapter property class in one of previous videos. We have created that class in a way so wherever we want to show the properties, we can use that adapter property class. So whenever we need this class, we need to pass the context and property array list. Open the seller profile activity class again. Now we need to set that adapter to the recycler view using binding dot properties rv dot set adapter. Pass the adapter property as parameter. Now the next step is to set the number of properties added by the seller to the text view. For that, we will create a variable of type string, name it as properties count equal to property array list dot size. This is the number of properties added by this seller. Now we will set that to text view using binding dot publish ads count tv dot set text. Pass the properties count as parameter. Okay, now come at the end of onCreate function and handle the click listener of back button. Binding dot toolbar back button dot set on click listener. New view dot on click listener. In the on click all the function finish, which will finish this activity and move back to previous activity. Remove the unused imports and with that our code is now completed. So we will start testing it. For that, run the app in an emulator or in real device. While the project is running, copy the tag and paste it in the logcat. So it will show only those logs which are printed using this tag. When the app runs successfully from the property list, click any property and click Seller Information Card View. This will move to Seller Profile Activity, where it will show basic information of seller, number of properties added by that seller, and properties added by that seller. Okay, enough for now. We will continue from here in next part.